You can be great at scheduling, tracking KPIs, and writing flawless project plans. But the moment you're expected to lead people, everything changes. Welcome to the Project Management Masterclass, the show where project leaders are made. This platform exists for one reason. Tools don't deliver projects, people do. That's why the Power Skills Academy was created, to help project professionals master the skills that actually move the needle. Emotional intelligence, communication, collaborative leadership, and strategic thinking. The skills that elevate your influence and make people want to follow your lead. If you ever thought, what am I missing? This is your answer. Visit www.developpowerskills.com. The link is in the description. Now, here's your host, Brittany Wilkins.
Have you ever looked at a product and wondered what it really costs to make it? Not just in dollars, but in impact. I'm not talking about the price tag. I'm talking about the materials, the waste, the carbon emissions, and the irreversible environmental effects. All of these determined by the decisions made before the product ever touches a factory floor. Welcome to Project Management Masterclass. I'm your host, Brittany, and today I'm going to discuss with you one of the most important and urgent topics that has been shaping our profession: sustainability, not just as a buzzword, but truly a business imperative. So for today's show, I want to challenge how you think about project management from the perspective of key global trends and how the work that you're doing not only influences just timelines, budgets, and schedules, but the planet itself. Did you know that HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning contributes to 15% of greenhouse gas emissions? I learned this key fact when I was given the opportunity to become Sustainability PMO back in 2022. And my responsibility was leading cross-functional business unit teams to achieve the company's 2030 ESG goals and sustainability initiatives, really working to establish and execute the plan to meet the targets defined by our sustainability office and track progress to report up to senior leadership. But what was interesting about this and taking on this new role is that prior to this, I used to think sustainability was just about recycling, because that's how it was first introduced to me, just taking those simple actions to separate plastic from paper. So I did my part, believing I was helping the planet. But once I stepped deeper into this space, I realized how limited and honestly how naive my thinking or view has been about sustainability all these years. You see, sustainability is so much more than recycling. It's about system, impact, innovation, and accountability across the entire product lifecycle. As project managers, it is really critical that we understand the key trends shaping sustainability, because it truly does play a role in how we plan, how we build it, and how we deliver projects. And that really directly influences whether the projects we're delivering, are they really truly driving short-term results or long-term value? So knowing how to integrate sustainability isn't just a nice to have anymore. It is essential for future-ready project success. And if you've listened to any of my episodes on the show before, you know I really like to level set everyone on fundamentals and definitions of the topics I discuss. Having a baseline is important to increase one's understanding. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is sustainability? In 1987, the United Nations defined it as meeting the needs of today without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own. So for project professionals, this means balancing that performance, that cost, the budget, the timeline, and now impact. For so long, we've managed this classic triangle, still very important: the scope, schedule, cost, and of course you have the others like the quality, the risks, the resources. But now that expands. It expands into, what I call really is this ninth dimension we can no longer ignore: sustainability. And here is why it matters. 80% of a product's environmental footprint is locked in during the design phase. That means your role, even if you're not directly sketching blueprints, coming up with the latest technology or design, it plays a crucial part. You play a crucial part in the downstream environmental outcome. It isn't no longer a matter of compliance. Sustainability is a strategy. It's innovation and it's leadership. And I see it as more than just a moral call. It really is a market signal. A signal of what? It's a signal of a key global trend and listening to the voice of the market, the voice of your customers. Consumers want cleaner products. Investors want ESG accountability. Regulators are rolling out carbon reporting mandates, and companies that don't adapt, they are at risk of being left behind. McKinsey, Forrester, and Bloomberg have been publishing data that shows the same thing. Businesses that invest in sustainable practices outperform their peers in resilience, customer loyalty, and long-term profitability. So as a project manager, you're not just delivering outcomes, you're really guiding that strategic alignment. So that means as you're leading projects to be more sustainable, to be more robust, it requires asking, are we sourcing sustainable materials? Are we designing for longevity and repair? Are we reducing waste, not just in our product, but in our process? Even with the recent political changes, I personally don't see that the sustainability, the trend, I don't see it necessarily going away. I see it evolving to a degree, but the standard of excellence for sustainability and doing what is best for the product and the environment, I think will always be there. And it will always be there because we have three big problems that we must solve. So I'm going to get into those. Here are the three main environmental issues, the projects that you might be contributing to, and how you can help to fix or maybe raise awareness if you have not already done so yet. The first problem that we must solve is hazardous materials. Substances like mercury, cadmium, PFAS, PFAS are still found in countless products today. These are toxic, harmful to ecosystems, and under intense regulatory scrutiny. Project managers, we need to ensure design and procurement teams are selecting safer alternatives and really working within frameworks like REACH and ROS. One of the projects under my sustainability umbrella was working with two of our chemical compliance experts in defining a single source of truth for all parts compliance data. The key things that I learned in this project was the importance of maintaining compliance with global regulations to maintain market access. Having access to compliance data is essential. Having all that data in one place really helps to shorten the response time for regulation changes. But it's not just having all the data. We need to ensure that we have clean data. Because as you know, garbage in, garbage out. And so when I was working with the chemical compliance team, we were trying to define a tool to house all this data. Because Excel, for the amount of data that had to be aggregated, didn't seem like the best tool to have. Excel could serve really as the source template, but that data needs to be fed into a more of a robust tool. And working and trying to gather that data and trying to align across several different functions, it did pose some interesting challenges, but I really learned a lot in the process about chemical compliance and the many regulations that, were just privy to me. Like I had no prior knowledge about certain labeling and certain materials, but as I see new things come out into the market and, with new labeling or new regulations, it all just started to really click for me on how big sustainability really was past the limited scope that I knew before. The second problem we must solve is GHG, greenhouse gas emissions. And these emissions are categorized into 3 scopes. Scope 1. Now, Scope 1, that is your direct emissions from company-owned facilities. Scope 2, that is your indirect emissions from energy purchase. Scope 3, all other emissions in the value chain. This is the big one. Scope 3 includes raw material sourcing, supplier emissions, customer use, end of life disposal. So what is our role in GHG, greenhouse gas emissions? Encouraging energy efficient design, selecting low carbon suppliers, working with procurement in sourcing those low carbon suppliers, those low carbon materials, and reducing logistics emissions through smarter manufacturing locations. This was really the area that was predominantly my area of focus in working with the subject matter experts from the sustainability team and some corporate office executives, and really honing in on Scope 3 emissions. When I stepped into this role, there was a lot of information that, was thrown at me. A lot of that had to align with the corporate strategy, and a lot of things had to be documented. And one of the documents that I received it talked about the SEC. The SEC proposed rule on climate related to disclosures, including reporting climate related investments. So, many companies report out or have a sustainability report. And in that report, it reports out key trends, key facts about sustainability, what it means to the company, and how the company is more sustainable. And then, it may have some metrics or some numbers. But this is where I had to stretch really beyond my area of excellence. Again, because up until I joined the sustainability team, I really had worked on really tangible product focused outcomes really geared towards manufacturing. And this was a product that I was delivering, but really of a different medium. I never really had to know SOX controls, SOX. And for those of you who may not know what SOX controls are, those are really those internal mechanisms designed to ensure the accuracy and reliability of financial reporting for publicly traded companies. And this is what makes project documentation so critical, as it was not only strategizing and planning and working with the team to lead our ESG efforts and to lead, our carbon accounting initiative, but due to the fact, every company that, reports out these climate related investments is subject to undergo a third party audit. So it was really preparing the team to be prepared for when and if we were to have to undergo an audit. And that, again, those SOX controls, it was just a different dimension, a different type of level of thinking and strategy that had to be executed. And I'll admit, I was a bit lost in the beginning because, again, I said, it's not really a physical product. This is about, the strategy behind that drives the products to the market. And so I really had to lean into acquiring new knowledge about sustainability. And so I invested in this book titled Sustainability, a Systems Engineering Approach to the Global Grand Challenge, and took the knowledge that I learned from this book and took the foundational and the fundamental things that I knew and know about project management and kind of tied them all one in together. So once I really kind of got that more baseline knowledge of sustainability and kind of work with the teams, I could really better communicate and talk with our ESG team and talk with our sustainability experts and really truly ask the better questions and better help to execute the roadmap to meet our 2030 goals. The third problem we must solve for: the finite resource depletion. We live on a finite planet. Metals, minerals, and fossil fuels, they're not limitless. But the way we consume and discard products today isn't sustainable. And that is where circularity comes in. It's really designing products that can be repaired, reused, and really remanufactured or responsibly recycled. So as a PM, you can promote modular design approaches, business models based on product as a service, strategic disassembly, and end of life planning. Now, where are we going based upon the big three things we must solve with sustainability? You have to think about it from, it's not just compliance. There are really opportunities in this. And that's where the real shift is that mindset of that companies that once treated sustainability as a checkbox are now realizing it is truly a competitive advantage, or can be a competitive advantage in the marketplace. I was reading an article that they did an interview, Forbes did an interview with General Mills CEO. And he said something that I thought was very profound. He stated, "We don't eat Cheerios for breakfast and think about sustainability in the afternoon." Sustainability is not a separate initiative. And I would even get rid of the word initiative. It's just sustainability is just the way we do business. It's part of our culture. It's part of our mindset and the behaviors that drive us to think more sustainable. And it has to become really an integral part of the company's core business strategy. So let's kind of pause here and just think about it for a minute. Less material equals lower cost. More durable products equal stronger brand loyalty. Modular designs equate better serviceability and upgrade options. Remote updates equal reduced field service costs. When you have those circular supply chains, equals resistance in volatile markets. And we all know, due to the current tariff situation, that many supply chains, no matter what organization you're in, are trying to really come up or are really executing that tariff mitigation plan. But I want to also to share some other interesting kind of key facts that I've, discovered as I still continue to study up on follow sustainability and kind of still integrate it in some of the more of the modular projects that I'm working and programs I'm working on today. McKinsey reports that manufacturers can profitably reduce 20 to 60% of emissions by 2030. Many are already seeing 10 to 30% return on investment within 18 months. So again, you may be thinking this is good for the planet, idealism. No, this is good for business. And it all ties back to the product and the process decisions made during the project life cycle. And these decisions help shape those sustainable designs. So let me ask you this question. Where do you sit today? How integrated is sustainability in your company's business strategies? What are your current pain points, if any? How far along are you on the journey? And are you struggling to, even if you have it kind of on the roadmap as part of a business strategy, are you struggling just to know how to get started on truly what to focus on, or just confused and overwhelmed by all the changes that have gone on, all the policies and all the regulations? It's like, where do we focus our attention? Because it does take a lot of effort. It does take resources, and it does take that momentum shift and really driving business execution through the lens of sustainability. But I would say I shared this information today, again, not to overwhelm and say that we have to become sustainability experts overnight and we immediately have to start driving this. No, it takes time. I'm still learning. I'm still evolving as, the market and the landscape is changing. So again, we don't need to become environmental engineers overnight or sustainability leaders overnight. We don't need to overhaul our entire process today trying to reach our 2030 goals, because beyond 2030, it will still be a need to drive sustainability. I truly believe that. We just have to really just start looking at our project decisions through a different lens. As the orchestrator of the project and the one leading that, we may assume that, well, someone will take care of that. Well, yes, someone may be responsible for the work, but it is important to really have as part of the task or milestones to reach, however you see it. But really ask yourself the question as you do kind of a pulse on the project or a program. Is this project more efficient? How can I make this project more efficient? Is there waste in this project? How can it be less wasteful? Are we better prepared for the future? And if not, how can we become better prepared? I believe for sustainability, it's a shared vision. It's a shared responsibility. But it truly begins with us. If we go back to the definition of project success, is really owning that outcome. We must own the outcome, own the value, own the impact. And again, it's not about just saving the planet. It's about building smarter, leaner, more innovative companies. So if you want to be a project leader, not today, but in the next decade, sustainability isn't optional to just know about. It truly is operational. Sustainability, again, isn't just about recycling. 3 key things about sustainability as we wrap up here today. It's about strategy, innovation, and leadership. It's about meeting those needs of today without compromising the future. It's about aligning those product decisions with planet conscious thinking across the full project lifecycle. So put that sustainability definition on the bulletin board, on the PowerPoint, as we are strategizing sustainability strategies. And think about the problems we must solve. Hazardous materials, reducing the use of toxic substances and improving compliance. GHG, those greenhouse gas emissions, tackling scope 1 and 2, and especially scope 3 emissions across the value chain, depending on where you are. Designing with circularity in mind, that finite resource depletion, reuse, repair, recycle. Keep in mind, sustainability isn't just about good ethics. It's good economics. It reduces waste, it improves efficiency, and it strengthens your brand. So again, if you want to be a project leader, I'll leave you with, again, sustainability isn't optional, it's operational. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Project Management Masterclass. Until then, remember, don't just manage the work, manage the future. See you on the next episode. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Project Management Masterclass. If you're ready to lead at a higher level, explore the Power Skills Academy and start mastering the skills that drive real project success. Visit www.developpowerskills.com. The link is in the description. See you in the next episode.